Welcome everyone. Today we're joined by Trent Webby, Head of Asia Pacific at Cavell, to discuss their up and coming inaugural Cavell Summit event in Asia Pacific. Trent, thanks for being here. How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. I am working down here in Down Under. It's 11 p.m., but I'm wide awake, so it's probably prime working time for me right now.
Good man. Well, thanks for joining us, and I'm really looking forward to the up-and-coming event. But let's tell our audience a little bit about the event. I mean, first of all, you know, at Cavell, you've been saying for years that APAC's a bit of a hotbed. You know, there's a lot happening in Australasia and the general APAC region. You know, and there's potentially, a market boom coming into the region. You know, what's your take on this? And you know, what made you launch the event this year?
There's a whole heap of different factors actually here, Rob. You know, for a long time, we've been running events. In fact, Cavell Summit's nothing new. This is our 10th year. We're actually doing our European version of the event, which is really, really awesome. And, you know, a lot of the times when we're at these events, we're building this community. We hear a lot of birds chirping, and the common thing that we hear quite often is you've got to get down to the APAC market. You know, there's obviously been a few resource limitations. We're only a very small team of about 12, which includes our consulting, our research team, and our event side. Obviously, there's a big financial side to it as well. The time zone's a burden, and our reputation typically isn't as strong down here as it is in the Northern Hemisphere. But we did a little bit of research, actually, you know, being a research company, we did our due diligence. Back in June last year, we did what we called Project Kangaroo, and basically it was a little bit of an internal report where we looked at, you know, what's actually happening down here in the market and compared it to what we're seeing on a global standard. So, you know, we interviewed a few of our key stakeholders down here and some new names as well for us, such as Access 4, Swoop, Channel UC before it was Access 4, and a few others. And we just got some information from them about, you know, what's happening in the market down here, some of the historical growth trends, and what they think is going to be the future growth, you know, the projections down here. Based on all that sort of information, we kind of came to the conclusion that we should come down here and test the waters. We think that there's actually something big that's going to be happening down here, and it's only a matter of time. So hence the birth of Cavell Summit Asia Pacific, where this year is our inaugural event, like you mentioned, and we're really excited to kick it off. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got to echo that. You know, UC Today's audience and for the, you know, CX Today's audience in APAC is huge. It's grown and grown and grown. I think it's almost as big, if not bigger, than our EMEA region now in terms of traffic. And, you know, so there's lots happening. There's lots of interest in these spaces, you know, the kind of UCAS and CCAS market especially. So really excited to get involved and media partner for the event. But let's talk about the event in a little bit more detail. In terms of, you know, the lineup of speakers, there's an impressive list of names there I saw on your website. You know, could you tell us a little bit about what they're going to be talking about, you know, for the most part?
Yeah, well, those who are familiar with the Cavell event series, we have a few that are considered what we call summit events. So we have the North America, the European, and now Asia Pacific, which gives a bit of a broad sense of the cloud communications space. We kind of hand-pick a few different topics that we think are quite valuable either to the region or what we're seeing on a global standard as something that's kind of a hot topic. And we bring in basically industry experts from the local regions to talk about what they're actually seeing from that space. So we've got some really interesting names like you mentioned before. We've got the CEO of 8x8 coming down, Samuel Wilson, and he'll be doing a fireside chat on exactly that, the global insights compared to and what their local impact is. We also have a whole heap of different areas such as value-added services. We've got some CX space there, the enablement piece around Operator Connect, as well as our multi-UC kind of approach, which Mark Bunnell, the COO of New Wave Communications, he'll be coming down to talk about that as well. And we've got a whole heap of other interesting topics, but I'd say probably the most interesting thing that I'm excited about, and I won't toot my own trumpet here, but we've actually just done some enterprise research for the Australian market, and we'll be actually giving a keynote. Myself will be up there giving a keynote on what those findings are, and I think it's going to be some very valuable information for the attendees that are coming along. So very excited about that particular keynote. We also have we also have Matt Townend obviously coming down, obviously the face, I guess, of Cavell, and he'll be doing his main keynote at the very start of the day, State of the Cloud Comms Market. It's going to be really, really awesome, because for a lot of the Australian and New Zealand and wider APAC clients that have been there, they wouldn't have seen this sort of information, but we're excited to open their eyes with some of that information too. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very jam-packed agenda, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of attendees, who should be marking their calendar for February 25th?
Wide range of different clients, but our summit events, many people know that when they come along, we actually have quite a well-refined community. And obviously, this being our first event, that's the goal. We want to kind of start to define what that community is. We have a lot of our C-suiters, our VPs, our kind of executive level service providers that will be coming along to the event, both from an international perspective, but also a few of the locals as well, which is going to be exciting for us, some new faces. And, they're the kind of decision makers. So a big part of our event isn't necessarily just the global insights that we bring, but it's also that community that we build as well. So definitely a wide different range of telcos, MSPs. We also got a lot of the providers from the CCAS and CPaaS kind of space as well. So it's going to be a bit of an eclectic bunch this year, but a lot of those people are those big decision makers, and that's exactly who we want to bring along. So yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. And you've chosen quite an impressive venue. Tell us more.
Yeah, so Bell Shakespeare, the locals will know a little bit about Bell Shakespeare. It's actually a performing arts venue. They are very well positioned for a magnitude of different events, and this will be one of their first times actually performing a conference of this kind of magnitude. I really love this location. It's right in Sydney Harbour, right underneath the Harbour Bridge. We're about a 5 to 10 minute walk away from the Sydney Opera House. Stunning views all the way around. We'll have obviously our usual drinks reception at the end out on the patio, and we'll be looking out upon the sunset underneath the Harbour Bridge. So it's a stunning, stunning venue, and we're really, really excited to have that same sort of top quality kind of space for our clients.
Yeah, very nice. Well, as much as I'm looking forward to the content across the day and meeting everyone, I'll equally be looking forward to that evening drink on the terrace. But my final question for you, Trent, what's the big takeaway here for anyone investing their time and money, for that fact, in this event? What do you hope that attendees are going to be taken away from this year's event?
For us, two different pieces actually. One, we kind of just want to open the eyes of the local market. We find, based on some of the research that we did back in June last year about whether or not to actually head down under, a big piece of that was actually, is there a demand? Now, I think from what we gathered, there wasn't a massive demand for market research, but the reason behind that is actually because you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of the market down here is actually a little bit isolated. So we're excited to bring those insights and really open some eyes about actually what's happening globally and how can we jump on that kind of bandwagon. So that's one big piece. The second big piece is definitely back around that community piece. We're obviously going to be facilitating a lot of new introductions between our mutual friends, and we're hoping that just creates real value for both the locals as well as those internationals coming down with us. So yeah, those two parts.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Trent. And for those interested in attending, where can they find more information?
You can jump over onto the Cavell website, and you'll be able to find all the information there. We've got our events page there, which details all of our different events portfolio, in particular this one as well. And you'll be able to gather more information about our agenda, the speakers, the venue, and everything else that we've discussed today.
Amazing. Well, you've heard it here, folks. If you're interested in attending, you can find the registration links down below. And Trent, thank you so much for joining me today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rob. Really appreciate it.
I'm Rob Scott from UC Today. Thanks for watching.